Jack and Kate have been a couple since college, and they share a warm hug at JFK Airport. Jack is about to leave for a 12-month internship in London. Kate expresses her fear that their relationship might end if he boards the plane. Jack reassures her, reminding her of their plan, Kate going to the best law school while he takes the internship. Despite Kate wanting to prioritize their love over plans, Jack kisses her, confident that their love is strong enough. He leaves for London. Fast forward 13 years, Jack is in a fancy apartment, having spent the night with a woman named Paula. He wants to see her again that night, but she has plans to visit her parents on Christmas Eve. Jack then gets ready for work, meeting his neighbor Mrs. Peterson in the elevator. The doorman, Tony, greets him in the lobby, and Jack gives him some quick investment advice before driving off to work in his Ferrari. Jack is now the president of a Fortune 500 company, leading a meeting with other directors. He discusses trading options and the treatment of institutional customers. Noticing a board member, Alan, distracted, Jack asks for his thoughts. Alan admits he's thinking about his family, as he promised to be home for dinner on Christmas Eve. Jack emphasizes the importance of their attention as they are about to announce the largest merger in U.S. corporate history in the next 2 days, promising a significant check. After the meeting, Jack receives a note that Kate tried to reach him. He shares with his assistant that Kate was his college girlfriend, and she almost became his wife 13 years ago. The assistant is surprised that Jack is the marrying kind. Jack decides not to call Kate, fearing it might rekindle something accidentally. The chairman, Peter, advises Jack to treat old relationships like taxes, cut them loose. Later, Jack wishes the company's security man, Frank, a good night, walks home, and stops at a store to buy eggnog. Another man enters the store with a winning ticket of $238, but the cashier doubts its authenticity and refuses to cash it. The guy grabs a gun, trying to scare the cashier, but Jack suggests doing a business deal instead. Even with the gun pointed at him, Jack explains he can buy a ticket for $200 and cash it elsewhere for $238, making a quick $38. The guy agrees, and they leave the store. Jack advises him against using guns and mentions programs that can help. The mysterious guy says he brought it on himself and leaves. Back home, Jack goes to bed. The next morning, something's off. He wakes up with a woman, Kate, and 2 kids in the room. Jack is shocked to realize he's a dad. Panicking, he rushes to get out. Kate's parents are there, and Jack can't find his Ferrari. Confused, he asks where it is, but they lend him their Cadillac. He drives to New York and meets Tony, but Tony won't let him in, and things get confusing. Mrs. Peterson appears, and Jack thinks they're playing a joke. They threaten to call the cops, so Jack goes back to the car and drives to his office. Frank stops him, saying he can't enter. Jack claims to be the president, but he sees someone else's name on the board. Frustrated, he sees the mysterious man driving his Ferrari, and the man offers an explanation. The man says it's a glimpse of the life that could have been, giving Jack a bell. Confused, Jack ends up at a friend's house, Arnie, who turns out to be his friend. Arnie talks about Jack's supposed successful life with a lovely wife and a big home. Jack goes into his supposed house, meets Kate, and tries to explain that he doesn't have a family. Kate gets mad, and Jack rings the bell, expecting help, but his daughter Annie takes it, and Kate scolds him for missing Christmas with the kids. Jack apologizes to Kate, mentioning the Thompson party he was excited about all year, but when he checks the wardrobe, he's disappointed to find cheap clothes. Later, they go to the party, where Evelyn Thompson greets them. Jack hangs out with some guys he thinks are his friends. Evelyn starts flirting with him. Back home, Kate asks Jack to walk the dog, and he reluctantly agrees. The next morning, Jack wakes up to a crying baby. When Kate doesn't answer, he finds out it's his turn to get the kids ready. Annie helps him, realizing he's struggling. She questions if he's her real dad, and Jack admits he's not. Annie checks his face, thinking aliens did a good job making him look like her dad. She asks for chocolate milk and welcomes him to Earth. Later, Annie guides Jack on dropping off her brother at daycare, and Jack takes her to school. He learns he works at Big Ed's selling tires. At the shop, Jack discovers he never boarded the plane to London and gets upset when the news reports a big merger he claims is his deal. That night, Kate happily enters, and they share a moment, but Jack pretends to sleep. The next day, they argue while shopping for a suit. Jack gives up, and in the car, he apologizes. They reflect on their life together, and Jack goes bowling with friends, but fails. At home, they playfully chase each other, ending in a kiss. Jack watches an old tape of Kate's birthday party, realizing he used to surprise her with a song. The next morning, he forgets their anniversary. Kate gives him a suit as a gift, but Jack didn't prepare one for her. She's sad, and Jack promises to make it right. Preparing chocolate milk, Annie suggests taking Kate to the city. Jack surprises Kate with a trip to New York, ordering fine food in a fancy restaurant. Jack offers a dance, but Kate thinks it's not the right place. Jack doesn't care, though. The piano man gets happy, and people around them envy Kate as they dance. Later, Jack tries to explain to Kate how he feels like he's living someone else's life. He used to be confident, walking around with the Wall Street Journal, feeling like he had everything figured out. But one day, he woke up feeling lost. Kate admits she feels the same way. Jack tells her the only thing he's sure about is that he wants to be with her. That night, they stay in a fancy hotel, and Jack expresses his love for Kate. In the following days, Jack enjoys time with Annie and Josh. Kate passionately kisses him goodbye as he heads to work, and he starts enjoying selling tires. One day, Peter, who had a flat tire, visits the shop. Jack talks to him about a big merger, and Peter is impressed. He gives Jack the car delivery address and expects him to deliver it personally. The next morning, Jack arrives at the company in a fancy car, wearing a suit. He meets Peter and Alan in his old office. Jack talks about his small business, but he knows people, listing personal qualities about Alan and Peter. Peter is convinced to hire him, and Jack walks Alan through the building, laughing off his threats. Later, Jack brings Kate to a luxurious apartment, a perk of his new executive position offer. Kate hesitates, mentioning they moved for their children. Jack suggests commuting, but Kate worries about the kids and the long commute. Back home, Jack finds his old flight ticket to London. Kate tells him she loves him and is willing to move to New York City for their love. The next day, Kate sees Jack playing with Annie in the snow. Annie hugs Jack, confident he'd come back. Jack goes to a nearby store and sees the mysterious man as the cashier. Jack is angry but realizes a glimpse is impermanent. Back home, he checks on the kids, talks to Kate, and walks their dog. Jack wants Kate to remember him as he is now. He goes to bed, but has one more thing to do. He walks the dog, lets it run free, and tries to stay awake to savor every moment. Eventually, he can't fight it anymore. Jack wakes up in his old apartment, puts on casual clothes, and sees Paula at the door, wishing him a Merry Christmas. Jack is confused, but drives to the house from the glimpse. He knocks, but an unknown man says Kate doesn't live there. As Jack heads back, his assistant calls, saying he's 30 minutes late for a meeting. Jack promises to be there in 20 minutes. In his office, Alan notices Jack isn't in his usual suit and asks if everything's okay. Alan quickly explains there's a crisis and the merger deal is about to fall apart. Jack, feeling down, decides to step in and save the merger because, as he puts it, that's his real life. In his fancy car, Jack calls someone who gives him Kate's real address. Jack arrives, finding people moving things out. Kate, who's moving to Paris for work, explains the situation. Jack asks if she's married, and she says no. She hands him a box with his old stuff, mentioning that's why she reached out. Kate's assistant mentions her flight at 7 o'clock, and Jack overhears. Kate gets busy with other things, and Jack leaves. In his car, Jack tells the driver to take him home instead of the business meeting. While going through his old things, he finds photos of him and Kate. Realizing time is running out, he rushes to the airport, desperately looking for Kate. Spotting her, he calls out her name. Jack pours his heart out, talking about their life in Jersey, their lovely kids, and their deep love. He admits it might have felt like a dream, but nothing has felt more real. He begs Kate not to leave for Paris, at least not tonight, and suggests they talk over coffee. Kate agrees. In the final scene, Jack and Kate are shown talking and enjoying each other's company at the airport cafe. The end. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you.